Hey there everyone, Azadi Bogolubov with Degrees of Freedom back again today with another lesson. In this lesson we're going to talk about how to convert Mongoose to SQLize and how to convert Java Spring Data Mongo to Java Spring Data with Postgres. I've chosen Postgres as the database just arbitrarily. You can do the same thing with MySQL or any other major SQL distribution that SQLize supports. But without further ado, we'll get started. In the Docker, I have created a Postgres server that's running on port 5455. 5432 is the default, but to show that it can work on any port, I've started this. We can look side by side at the code and see what's changed here. So you might notice on line 3 here that we started with Mongoose and now we have SQLize. Here on the right side in the SQLize pane, we now have the SQLize URL, which is a Postgres with the user, the password, the host, and the database we're connecting to. Basically everything else has stayed the same thus far. Come down to line 12 through line all the way down to 28. This whole section right here, we have to change this. So now we have to authenticate to the database and verify it. Simple enough, very similar to what we did with Mongoose. Then we define our schema. Now, as you might expect, we have to change from Mongoose syntax to SQLize syntax, from number to integer, and string stays the same, date stays the same. Here on line 34, I've disabled timestamps. The reason for this is it's extra work in Java if you want to add the timestamps for created at and updated at. And while it's completely possible, it does require some finagling due to the fact that SQLize uses a proprietary format that's based on the Paranoid framework. So then, once it's created, we sync the database, run a promise. If it succeeds, the wait table was created. Otherwise, it errors and tells us the error. Otherwise, everything is identical to what we had prior. So, no big surprises there. But when we go to the save, here with how we do things with Mongoose, we just call the create. Here, though, we call the w.save.then, again, as a promise, which it successfully adds the record, or it logs an error, and then we send our response. Similarly, you'll see this with the get calls and the delete calls. So here we called wait.find, now we just call wait.findAll, wait.findOne, where ID is this, rather than sharing wait.find by ID, the rec params ID. So it's more SQL specific. It's a good bit of work to change it out, and if we go and we look at the package.json, this is the one we had for Mongoose. If we look at the one now that we have for SQLize, I'll drop it in this pane, you'll see we have some different packages. So instead of Mongoose, now we have the PG package, that's for Postgres, the SQLize package for SQLize. Otherwise, everything is the same in the end. So, changing gears, we're going to jump over to Java. I'm going to open both windows here. We have basically the identical structure. What I did was copy the Mongo REST API program, rename it Postgres REST API program, and otherwise, the entire structure is identical. Looking at our application properties, we see that instead of using Spring Data MongoDB as our prefixes, we use Spring Data based platform, PostgreSQL, and the data source URL is the same as the other one we just saw, albeit the order is a bit different. You start with the URL and the database, and then you add the user and password. This is a Spring design consideration. It has no effect on what you're connecting to. If we look at Postgres, and we go to the databases, to the Postgres database, we see there are no tables currently. So this will all be being created on the fly. So now, if we were to go and take a look at the repository section, Something else you're going to notice is we changed Mongo repository to CRUD repository. CRUD stands for Create, Read, Update, Delete, and is a SQL acronym. Additionally, we had to handle putting in an interface entry for list, wait, find all. This is because it is typically listed as an iterable in CRUD repository, whereas Mongo repository inherits from CRUD repository here, list CRUD repository. So that was the convention over configuration. Whereas right now, with the CRUD repository, we have to tell it list. Since list is a specific implementation of iterable, polymorphism allows us to do this. Going into the controllers, we can see that the controllers are also identical to each other right now in how things look. So no changes there. If we go to the entity section, then we will see some changes. We change from data and document collection over to data, entity. Entity is part of the Jakarta persistence library, and it tells you this is applied to the entity class. It is a database entity. The table annotation tells you what table it is, akin to the document table, document annotation. So there's that. Additionally, when we create our IDs, whereas in Mongo you had a BSON generated ID that's guaranteed to be unique, this has to use a numeric ID by default, so 1 to n. To do that, we take the ID and we have the generated value be an identity type. This matches to the structure of what you'd see in a SQL database where it jumps 1, 2, 3, 100, 1,000, up to n entries. But the rest of the structure remains identical. So to finish out for the sake of being thorough, if we look at the service, then what we'll see here is everything has remained identical in the service to what we had prior. No changes needed to be made at all. And we can just run this. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to drop the Mongo REST API. This is already running on port 8080. And over here, this is not yet running, so let's get it running on the SQLize. And it now says the waits table was created successfully. It shows us the SQL that it created. If we go back to Postgres, we could use DataGrip. I have DataGrip, but we're already using enough paid software. Waits is here. If we were to go in and take a look at it, scripts, select, then we can see the columns we can select from. We can also go here and see the columns are exactly what we'd expect. So now let's do a demo in Postman. If we go in and we do a get on localhost 3100 waits, it is an empty list, which we'd expect. If we do a post our data in here, test node, successfully added, get set record, it's right there. Test it with number 1, it's right there. Then we can also swap this out to port 8080, which Java is running on. We still can call. We can also call the entire entries. All of them are there as expected. We can do a post, change this to test Java, do another get. They're both there. And as we showed before, since this has not changed the JSON structure, it'll still work in React. So in addition to the back end being nothing but a detail, the database is also just a detail when dealing with your architecture. You need to be cautious on making these choices, as it can be tricky going down the line to change it, depending on the choice of framework, the choice of libraries, the choice of database, but in the end, it is just a detail. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a thumbs up or a comment, share it with your friends, and keep an eye out in the comment section for my upcoming course I'm making on Node and Java. That will be much more thorough. We'll show how to handle production scenarios, Dockerizing an app, creating scenarios around exception handling, and so on and so forth. Thanks so much and have a great day.